Good evening, everyone. My name is John Taves, and I'm the event coordinator here at McNally Robinson Booksellers. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that, of course, we are here in Treaty 1 territory, and the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Inuit, Anishinaabe, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Métis Nation. McNally Robinson Booksellers itself rests on the land once occupied by the Métis community of Roostertown. It's always a particular pleasure to host these launches here at the store, but it always feels that much more special when it's somebody's first book. So even though our guest this evening is no stranger to the written word, there is something particularly special about holding your first publication in your hand. So with that, I can say that we are here tonight to celebrate the launch of From Challenge to Champion, 12 inspiring sports stories for new readers by Skyler Trepel. You may applaud that vigorously if you'd like. We're so grateful to Inspiring Sports Books for Kids and Penguin Random House of Canada for publishing this book in the first place and for making this evening a reality. Thank you all for joining us here, both in person and virtually, to be part of the celebration. I won't take up too much more of your time. I will be back at the end to let you know how you can go about getting a copy of this book signed. So stay tuned for some exciting procedural announcements. But for now, I have the great pleasure of introducing our guest. Skyler Trepel is a multimedia sports and entertainment journalist and author for Winnipeg. Skyler has his Bachelor of Commerce with honors from the University of Manitoba, his film production diploma from the Toronto Film School, and his Master of Arts in Specialized Journalism from the University of Southern California. Formerly a financial advisor, Skyler left that career to pursue his passion for sports and entertainment journalism and writing. He has written hundreds of articles for various publications and is currently a contributing writer for People Magazine /People.com, focusing on sports and entertainment. When not writing, Skyler loves spending time with his family, watching and playing sports, cooking, going to concerts, traveling, reading, spending time with friends, playing video games, watching TV and movies, and hanging out with his cat, Simone. To tell us more, please give a very warm round of applause to Skyler Trepel.
Thank you so much, John, for that wonderful introduction. Thank you so much to everyone for being here. I mean, my heart is very full and I really cannot believe the turnout. It's mind-blowing, really. So thank you all so much. I think the best way to start this out is by reading the letter that I wrote to McNally Robinson to make this book launch happen. And that will provide a bit of an outline for the evening, as well as a reading from the book I will do later on. So, dear McNally Robinson, I am thrilled to be inquiring about a possible book launch at your store for my new children's sports book, From Challenge to Champion, 12 Inspiring Sports Stories for New Readers, published by Penguin Random House. Upon calling to find out how to go about this, I was told to drop off a sell sheet, but McNally Robinson has had such a deep and profound impact on my life that I wanted to attach this letter as well. I can still remember the excitement of McNally Robinson opening at Grant Park when I was a reading-obsessed kid in the 90s. I remember visiting the McNally Robinson children's section, right up there, looking for the latest Goosebumps, Harry Potter, or Robert Munch book. I can remember seeing the pictures of the authors on the wall and being inspired to one day write my own book. I visited McNally Robinson frequently over the years, purchasing many books, attending book signings, going with friends to Prairie Inc., and taking nostalgic visits to the children's section as I grew up. The inspiration of visiting McNally Robinson and all the books I read led me down a path full of twists and turns to become a writer. After publishing hundreds of articles and getting my Master of Arts in Journalism, I became a journalist writing about sports and entertainment with People Magazine /People.com. I was writing about all my passions, but still wondered how I would one day write a book. I became even more inspired to do so after I bought There's Something Strange About My Brain, Writing Horror for Kids by R.L. Stine, the author of the Goosebumps books, from McNally Robinson last year. This gave me the idea that maybe one day I could write a children's books, since I had kept in touch with my own inner child. After reading one of my inspirational sports articles for People, someone from acquisitions at Penguin Random House, that's Tara Sullivan, if she's watching, reached out to me to potentially write a children's sports book on inspiring athletes. I submitted a writing sample based on LeBron James' story, did an interview with the person from acquisitions, Tara, and was given the opportunity to write this book, making my dream come true. After I finished writing the book, Penguin Random House even offered me a multi-book deal, making this the first book in a new series of inspiring children's sports books. While my dream of becoming a children's author may have come true, I couldn't think of a better way to cap it off than by having a book signing launch and to possibly read one of the chapters at the place it all began, helping inspire attendees of all ages to pursue their dreams. And I wrote that, and it's really crazy that that is happening now. So that's the letter I wrote. I was told to drop off a sell sheet, but I wanted to do something more personal. And that's how this came here. Bit of news in that too is that this will be the first book in a new series of children's books. Penguin Random House signed me on for 3 more books with them. So I'm ready. Thank you. Thank you. So yes, I am working on that. The second one is almost written already. The third one I'm writing soon. Articles of People Magazine, Entertainment Weekly, lots going on, but honored to be here tonight. So as you guys heard a little bit from that, I have loved reading since I was a kid. And I wanted to share, I guess, a couple of themes of my own story before talking about the book, and even in some of the stories about athletes you'll hear. And the first one is that everything that happens in your life has meaning or purpose, or if you want to interpret that as everything happens for a reason, or things happen the way they're meant to. I always loved reading as a kid and coming to McNally Robinson and getting books. When I was in grade 2, I won I Love to Read Month in school. I always had the biggest book order at school. I loved writing, and one of my first sports writing projects was about Tony Hawk doing the 900 on his skateboard in grade 5, who I'd later go on to write about in People Magazine. And then in grade 10, I wrote a project on my favorite athlete of all time, Kobe Bryant, and we had to do a poem and some dialogue between him and a player and a coach, and it was just so much fun and so creative and really, really helped me in my career, and I loved sports writing. My mom also came in to read in the library and volunteer there. And I actually was recently invited back to my old school, SJR, to talk to the grade 5s and see a couple of teachers here tonight, Mr. Grennell, Mr. Henderson, and librarian Grace Shepard, who made it happen. I think I see one of the grade 5s from my SJR visit here. So hello, thank you for coming. And the thing about everything I just shared, other than the SJR visit, because that hadn't happened, is that I brought all of this up in my interview for the book. And so that just really shows how all these things that happen in your life really do have meaning and purpose, even if you don't know it at the time. So where did my passion for sports come from? Well, one thing of that is from my family. My Nana lived with us growing up, and she was a diehard Toronto Blue Jays fan, often yelling at the TV very excitedly about them. And she got me my first Michael Jordan VHS. I'll talk about that more later. And also my Zadie and my Grams, they had me to their cottage, and my Zadie showed me Dan Marino and the Miami Dolphins. And that got me more interested in sports. And just my mom and dad supporting me so much, and my love of sports and watching with me and getting to talk about it with them was really fun too. Very specifically, the thing that really started to get me into sports was when my mom and my Nana took me to see Space Jam, starring Michael Jordan and the Looney Tunes, when I was 3 years old in 1996, and I can still remember it. It's my earliest memory. And not only did I bring that up in the interview and got to write about the sequel on behalf of Warner Brothers when I was at USC, but also I actually brought that up in my interview and wrote about it in the book in the intro, which I will read soon. Also, sports can really help you relate to people, and talking with friends who have all different kind of beliefs than you do. It's such a universal way to relate to others. And I found that I made a lot of friendships with people I might otherwise not be friends with because we had this thing in common and we're both so passionate about it. Something else really neat about sports I found is that it is just so exciting in that you can be sitting on your couch, you know, last Sunday, and Alexander Ovechkin scores goal 895, breaking Gretzky's record, and you can jump up from your couch screaming when otherwise it's just a boring Sunday. It's a really, really incredible part of sports, or a game winner. It's awesome. So Also, the inspiration of sports and stars making huge comebacks is just something that motivates me so much because they're overcoming doubt and incredible odds to make that happen. I also tried nearly every sport growing up, like every sport in this book that you'll hear about, I really did play or dabble in at some point. But the thing is that sports wasn't my only passion. And I tried and enjoyed other things too, in movies and music and TV and the other things that I write about with Entertainment Weekly and People Magazine today were huge passions of mine. So one of the most important things that I've learned is to follow your passion and follow your dreams. But how do you find those? So for me, that came from trying a lot of different things, as you'll hear about. It also came from keeping in touch with my inner child, whether watching shows I loved from an adult perspective or movies, or keeping up with things I loved as a kid, like sports and writing. Staying in touch with the kid in you is not living in the past, but bringing the best part of your past to who you are now. So how did I become a writer, author, journalist? And something you learn is that with any dream, it is never a straight line at all. So while I loved writing as a kid, it seemed like a faraway dream or idea to make a career out of it. So I pursued a business degree, which is a great education, and I'm really happy I did. But as I got into the internships, I found myself more excited to check my phone for sports updates or read basketball articles while at work. So I was not sure that this was going to be the right path for me. I knew I was really creative. So I went to the Toronto Film School because I love movies and TV so much as well. And I sort of realized halfway through, though, that I loved movies, but I didn't like making them, working on set, some of the politics. There's a show on Apple TV Plus out called The Studio right now. Does a very good job of talking about that career. So at this point, I knew I was going to finish the degree, but I wasn't sure what I would do exactly. I started thinking about which career I'd pursue and had been watching a lot of sports and TV. And then my mom actually sent me a freelance opportunity to do a book review on Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, one of the best basketball players ever, one of my favorite players, and incredible social activist too, in the Winnipeg Free Press. Side note is that was my first published piece of writing in 2017. And this weekend, I got written about in the Free Press, which was a really cool full circle moment for me. So this helped remind me of the things that I've been passionate about all along, like writing and sports. And I found more joy in this than anything else that I'd tried so far. So I finished the film degree, but I still didn't know exactly what to do. And again, just writing as a full-time career seemed like a bit of a faraway dream. But I knew I had my business degree. And even though I loved being in Toronto and got to hang out with so much wonderful family there, who I know is watching tonight, I knew that I loved Winnipeg, and it's just a great mid-sized city with a nice ease of living and arts and culture and sports and friendliness and affordability and not too much traffic to get to these places. And of course, being close to my family. So I thought that with my education in Winnipeg, that by being a financial advisor, that would be a way to connect with and help others. And I went all in on it and became an advisor very quickly. But again, my favorite part of work was when I showed up in the morning and got to talk to people about sports, music, movies, and TV. I kept doing book reviews, and I even started a blog, not necessarily expecting that people would read it, but just to build a portfolio for myself. So after that, I applied to a website called Fansided with my portfolio and got accepted. And my first article predicted a Los Angeles Lakers championship in 2019. And 15 months later, they did go on to win that championship. And enough people enjoyed it that it got 100,000 views. And that kind of really told me, hey, I might be onto something. And I think that's important to note and then I kept writing after that. And I think that's important to note is that, no matter where you are in life, you can always take small steps on the side towards making your dreams come true, because that was something I did work really, really hard at. And these are all great careers and schools I went to, but just for me, I found that this was something I was much more passionate about. And so right before the pandemic hit, my articles were going really well. I was thinking about maybe going back to school and really trying to make a full-time career out of this. So I found a a one-year Master of Arts in Specialized Journalism with the University of Southern California. And I called them and they said, oh, you know, the deadline's in a couple of days. And I said, oh, okay, you know, I'll think about it for next year or something then. And then the pandemic happened. And I think, you know, this book is called From Challenge to Champion. And if I had a moment like that, it was definitely really working hard to make the best of the pandemic and that very unique pause in the world. So I took some time and I thought, I for sure want to do this. I for sure really want to try to make a career out of this. And I called USC and I said, hey, there's this unique pause in the world. I know the deadline's passed, but is there any way that you guys might consider reopening it? And they said that they would, but I was only going to have 5 days to publish 2 more articles to meet the minimum of 15, write a 1,000-word essay, and the GRE exam. So I studied 8 hours a day for 3 days for the GRE exam. I wrote the 1,000-word article. Luckily, writing 1,000 words is not too much for me, and got the 2 articles published, one of them being about the pandemic, actually, and how it affected the NBA. One of the coolest parts of this experience that totally led into the book, as I'll get to, is that on the GRE exam, during the writing portion of it, we were given a prompt. And it was, your circumstances do not define you. Agree or disagree with this statement. And I always believe that you can rise above whatever circumstances you face. And so immediately what came to my mind was just the story of LeBron James and how he did grow up in poverty with a single mother who couldn't raise him, bouncing from home to home of different friends and even strangers sometimes for him. And that he struggled to even be able to get to school, and ended up building his own school and becoming, you know, a successful billionaire and contributing to great causes and giving people many joyful basketball memories over the years. I ended up getting the 96th percentile on that. And again, that was a really good sign for me. And USC was not an easy school to get into. They have less than 10% acceptance rate, but I worked really, really hard to make it happen. And it did. And I got into USC. And while I was there, I got experience doing everything that I could. I wrote so many articles for different publications. I worked as a multimedia sports editor, sports reporter, entertainment reporter, columnist for their 2 different publications, writing for, you know, Lakers Nation while I was there too. I had my own podcast. I mean, I just knew that I had been in this career a little bit shorter than other people. And so I wanted to work as hard as I could. And I think that's another great lesson, is that if you find something you love to do, it's wonderful because it makes the hard work that much easier, which it did for me. So even after I wrote everywhere I could, I wanted to expand beyond sports. So in about 2023, I did some more entertainment freelancing at the Free Press, covering concerts, interviewing the lead singer of Billy Talent, one of my favorite bands, writing about some Disney movies that I loved a lot, many other cool stuff. And then I saw an opportunity in a freelance newsletter that I'll talk about in a bit, to be a contributing writer at People. And this is where things really began to click for me in my career. But I didn't get there without a lot of hard work, rejection along the way, determination, experience, and persistence. I wrote tons of articles for close to 20 publications overall, often at the same time, and also got rejected applying to places too. For any dream that's ever come true, that is part of the journey for sure, even after taking a lot of time to submit writing samples. So how did this book come together? Well, I was posting my People articles on LinkedIn just in case there was another opportunity. The People stuff was keeping me busy, but I knew that I could take on something a little bit more. So I did subscribe to newsletters with different opportunities and connected with the recruiters on social media, even if I was too busy with my work for People to apply at the time. So one day, Penguin Random House, largest publisher in the world, recruiter, Tara, saw an inspiring sports article that I'd written on multiple-time NBA MVP Nikola Jokic and his life growing up in Serbia and his parents and how that inspired him to play basketball. And they reached out to me to do an interview. I couldn't believe it. It was really, really cool. And when I did that interview, I shared everything that I shared with you all today. I was totally myself, and I even talked about winning I Love to Read month in grade 2, especially since it was a children's book, about ordering the most books in the book order, about my journey I've told you guys about, and about the Kobe portfolio that I wrote in when I was in grade 10. They needed a writing sample from me. And I thought, I've already done really well with the LeBron James writing sample, so why not do that in a more kid-friendly voice? But I do want to take that time to say that although this is a children's book, I really, really focused on writing it so that all ages could enjoy it too. And so I did that, and it's very similar. And after waiting and waiting, I was alerted that out of a handful of candidates, they'd chosen me to be the person to write that book. So the process of writing a book with the world's largest publisher, I will tell you a bit about, because it's very interesting and it takes a village, and it is a lot of meeting fairly quick deadlines and milestones. But again, if you love what you're doing, it makes this all a lot easier. It involves working my own hours too, so I was able to do it more so, and working remotely. And I also had to manage my other articles and commitments while I was doing this, as I'm doing now with books 2 and 3. So one thing I want to mention, and I'll give her a thank you later, but it's that editor-writer relationship. And my editor, Ada Fung, it was just absolutely incredible getting to meet and work with her. And the fact that she was so excited and could see my passion in this was absolutely incredible. So we worked together, and I submitted my proposed list of 12 athletes. And something else I want to say about editors is that many people think that it's just for grammar and spelling, but I consider an editor, to make a literary reference since we're in a bookstore, more like a Gandalf in Lord of the Rings or Dumbledore in Harry Potter. They really help to sort of guide your journey and provide those nuggets of advice along the way to help the book and to give you things to add into the story. And so that was really what Ada was like for me. The other thing is there is compromise and negotiation and discussion. You know, I was really excited about Caitlin Clark, the basketball player who just won Time Athlete of the Year. But at the time of writing this book, she hadn't played a professional game, even though she'd succeeded at college. So what we talked about and what came out of developing this relationship was it actually led to an additional section in the book on 12 up-and-coming athletes, including Caitlin Clark, Aja Wilson in the WNBA, Victor Wembanyama in the NBA, tennis players Coco Gauff and Carlos Alcaraz, NFL player CJ Stroud, and many others too. And so there was a lot of work in writing and submitting each milestone. There were roughly 6 chapters each, sometimes in 6 weeks. I did tons of research, watching movies, documentaries, reading articles and quotes, but I had fun doing all of it, even though it was a lot of work. I worked after submitting the edits to Ada, then I remember that the last one I submitted was the LeBron James chapter, because I'd started with that. And I was in my house and I had this picture of me at Disney World going down Splash Mountain in a LeBron James jersey from 2005, 20 years ago. So that was a really, really cool moment. But the work was not done there after the first round of edits. I had to work with 2 development editors, especially Patty Consolazziazo, who was wonderful and kind. And I made the initiative to do a Zoom call with her. And I think that's important in remote work when you can, because it really helped to develop, again, that relationship, and we could share our sports passion with each other. And I'm working with her on these next 2 books as well, everyone I mentioned here so far. And so she was really great. Then there was another round of development editing with Lana Barnes and Shara Underwise. So then after that, there was the marketing milestones for the book, and that involved social media posts, creating an Amazon author page, dated social media posts to me, reaching out to reviewers, endorsers, and influencers. And this was all happening, especially because this started in January, while writing book 2 and now starting book 3 and doing articles for People Magazine and Entertainment Weekly. And it's a lot of just compartmentalizing. And again, by really enjoying what I'm doing, that makes it easier to enjoy all the work that I have to do. And I have to thank my marketing person, Portia Turner, who I've worked with. I think we have a 60 email thread, because I really wanted to get the process right, because it was so different and complicated. And so I really want to give her and Tara and Ada, and I'll thank them again later, but a huge, huge thank you on that. So before I get into why I picked the 12 athletes of the book, I wanted to share some of the exciting things that have happened since. And one of those is that Grace Shepard, the junior school librarian, is here. And I know that my grade 3 teacher, who also invited me back, I knew her as Ms. Sterner, she's Mrs. McLeod now, invited me back to my old school at SJR on the day of my book's release. And I think I saw some of them here today, but just being able to go back there in that capacity and how kind and welcoming and friendly and begging me to sit with them at lunch. I got to have lunch at my old school again, and reading to them in the library and all the questions they had and asking me for autographs. I mean, I'd never experienced anything like it. And really, I mean, it speaks very well for the next generation of kids that, you know, I hope to inspire, and got positive feedback that they enjoyed it, to the point where I got dropped off some letters from Grace today that they wrote me after. I didn't read them because I get too emotional, because just going back there was such a full circle experience for me. But that was one of the best days of my life. And to hear that they were inspired by the book and are reading it, you know, I think that's really what it's all about, or definitely at least one way to have a fulfilling career is if you're able to touch and impact others. And I'm glad that I've been able to do that. So another really cool part was that night, I went with my parents to McNally Robinson. First time we'd gone together in many years. I just drive here myself usually nowadays. And we walked up to the children's section, where I had spent just hours as a kid. Like, so many visits, buying books and reading in the section up there, walking up the stairs, the Winnie the Pooh I'm looking at right now. And to see my book in the children's section was really like a dream come true moment, to know that that's going to get to inspire kids just like I was inspired and enjoyed reading as a kid myself. Okay, so to get into the book here, why did I pick the 12 athletes that are in this book here? So I'll talk a bit about LeBron James later, because I'm going to read the chapter on him, since that's kind of the one that made this whole thing happen in a way. So the first athlete I wanted to start with out of the 12 is Serena Williams, who is on the cover right there. Serena is one of the greatest tennis players of all time, with 23 Grand Slam wins, the most in the Open era. She grew up without much money in Compton, California, but she trained really hard. When asked which tennis player she wanted to be like as a kid, she said that she hoped people would want to be like her one day. And while it's always great to show humility too, you need to have that kind of self-belief to make your dreams come true in the way she was able to. She overcame a lot of racism within the tennis community for looking and acting different than other players, because tennis especially still is, but at that time was especially a mostly white sport. And she showed up and she did her hair different and she looked different, and she was willing to be herself and loud on the court. And she used her challenge to break barriers so that other people who looked and acted different could also play. Next up, we have Jessica Long. Now, Jessica Long is a Paralympic swimmer with 18 gold medals and 31 total medals. And that comes after having her legs removed when she was a baby. Swimming felt really fun to her, and it made her happy. So she kept doing it, and she kept working hard at it. She was nervous meeting people because she was different. But by being herself, she made friends who liked her for who she was. She says that the only disability is a negative attitude. I want to read some quotes as well. So my favorite Jessica Long quote in the book is, "There's going to be really tough times. You have to look at your situation and just know that you are going to have a good outcome. I feel like I'm living proof of that. I hope that anyone just looks at my life and thinks, hey, if that girl's doing it, I can too." Next up was Jackie Robinson. And for me, you know, some of the stories I knew really well, and I knew Jackie's a bit, but this one might have moved me the most. I watched the movie 42, the biopic on him, starring Chadwick Boseman, who played Black Panther, which I highly recommend. And it was deeply inspiring. And so Jackie Robinson was the first Black player in baseball's modern era, after Black players were banned from playing baseball. And he broke many barriers for other people. He faced horrible racism, not just from fans, but some of his own teammates as well, who were protesting against having to play with him. The thing about Jackie is that he didn't react to people's cruelty. And by not reacting and playing his best, it's not that he was standing still, but he was standing up for something that was a greater cause than himself. And he knew that by going through these hard times, he could create positive change for everyone. Eventually, Jackie's teammates rallied around him publicly. His number was retired by the league. He won a World Series, and 40% of Major League Baseball players today come from diverse backgrounds. So one of my favorite Jackie Robinson's quote, "I'm not concerned with your liking or disliking. All I ask is that you respect me as a human being." Now, the next one is Allison Felix, and she is not only the most decorated track and field athlete ever, with 7 Olympic gold medals and many world championship medals, over 30 overall, but she actually endorsed this book on the back. And that happened because, first of all, she was the commencement speaker at USC for me in front of like thousands of students, and she's a big-time athlete. But she said at the end, they call people who graduate from USC Trojans. That's the mascot for the sports teams there. And she said, if any Trojans ever need help, don't hesitate to reach out. And so I did reach out to her, and I never even ended up talking with her. When you're at that level, I was talking with 3 different agents the whole time. But I did make it happen, and she made it happen. And she wrote a wonderful endorsement of my book that I'll read. From Challenge to Champion is not just about sports. It's about heart, courage, and standing up for what's right. From overcoming challenges to advocating for change, this book shows how true champions inspire us both on and off the field. So something else really cool about Allison. She was bullied in school with people calling her chicken legs, saying she was too skinny to run and join the running team. Think about that. Someone who went on to be arguably the greatest of all time at what they did was bullied for trying it in the first place. And I think that's a great lesson for all of us to try what we want to try, no matter what anyone says. After winning many medals, she asked Nike for maternity protection after giving birth, and they said no. She wrote a New York Times article advocating for maternity protection, and now every sportswear company gives it out, and she was a large part of making that happen. So Allison's quote during my commencement speech was, "It took me a long time to find my voice, and that's absolutely okay. Remember, your voice has power, and you have to use your voice, even if it shakes." Next up is Megan Rapinoe, and I know that's my editor Ada's favorite athlete. So she is a soccer Olympic gold medalist, a 2-time World Cup champion, and she also won the 2019 Ballon d'Or Féminin, that's like a soccer MVP, and FIFA Best Player in the World that year. She got injured early in her career, but she said that injuries were the best thing to happen to her. They taught her to slow down and enjoy the moment. She was one of the most famous athletes to publicly come out as gay, when not many athletes did in 2012. She said that even though it was scary, it was one of the best decisions that she's ever made, because she could be herself, and other people said that it gave them the courage to be themselves. She was a huge advocate for women's equal pay in sports, and was invited to speak about it at the White House, and successfully got a large sum of money to the US women's team that they were well owed. Next up is Simone Biles, and she is also on the cover of the book right there, one of the most famous athletes today, the most decorated gymnast ever with over 40 Olympic and World Championship medals. She got really well known in 2016 with her Olympic success. But what she became almost even more well known for was becoming a huge mental health advocate when she publicly exited the Olympics while going through a difficult time during COVID with no family there, after she got what's called the twisties, which means that because she was so stressed, her brain and body weren't really connecting with all of the different flips that she was doing in the air. And she knew that if she kept competing, she could get seriously hurt and put her career and life at risk. Even with all the pressure to compete, she knew she needed to take care of herself. She learned how to take care of her mental health, and she became an advocate for it. By listening to herself and staying true to herself, she showed the whole world to put your mental and physical health first, instead of pushing yourself too hard. Next up, we have Chloe Kim, who was the youngest athlete in the book, 24 years old. She has won 12 snowboarding gold medals, many of them at the X Games, and 2 Olympic gold medals, all before turning 25, including one from when she was 15. She faced anti-Asian racism and shared her experience publicly, which made others feel less alone. Even while making feel others less alone, she felt alone during the pandemic, and she wasn't afraid to reach out for help and find therapists to help her work through what she was going through. She shared with others that she learned not to be so hard on herself and that professional athletes have to overcome challenges just like us. Next up is someone who the grade 5s really loved at SJR when I read him, and I love too. One of my favorite athletes today, Patrick Mahomes. Super Bowl MVP, 3-time Super Bowl champion and Super Bowl MVP of the Kansas City Chiefs, 2-time NFL MVP, and people, including Patrick's dad, wanted him to play baseball. He was a great baseball player, and people were really trying to box him into that. But Patrick wasn't going to let himself be boxed in, and he became more passionate about football. And even though he knew he might let some people down, he knew that by doing this, he would be able to provide a lot more joy for people in the long run. Because he played baseball too, Patrick had a very unique style, played almost like a shortstop, running around the field, throwing while falling down, sidearm passes, underhand passes like a pitcher. He had a really unique style, and teams weren't sure if they should draft him. Think about that. The greatest player today, one of the greatest of all time, Patrick Mahomes, people were skeptical about drafting him. He used this different style to play quarterback, and he changed the position forever. Now every team looks for someone like Patrick Mahomes. Patrick pursued his dream, and he didn't let what others thought of him affect his belief in himself. All right, next up we have Lionel Messi, in my opinion, the greatest soccer player of all time, and undeniably one of the best, a World Cup champion, 44 team trophies, most of all time, 8 Ballon d'Ors, that's like 8 MVPs in soccer. Now, Messi had a condition called growth hormone deficiency and had to give himself shots as a little boy. He signed with Barcelona at 12 years old and felt lonely and shy, but he focused on his playing, and that helped give him confidence. Messi was still very short for a soccer player, even with these medically advised injections. But the thing about Messi, and something we can all learn from, is that he used his differences and his size to his advantage because he was quick and could move around players, making some of the most exciting plays that we've ever seen in soccer. Next up is quite possibly my favorite athlete in the book, one of my favorite athletes of all time, other than the one I'm going to read after this. That is Tom Brady. Tom Brady, cover of the book right there, someone I watched his entire career. He is a 7-time Super Bowl champion, which I think is the most impressive record in sports because that is more than any team in football. He's a 5-time Super Bowl MVP. He's the all-time leader in passing yards and touchdowns. And when we think of Tom Brady, we think of this superstar who's amazing. But Tom was not athletic as a kid. He did not start on his high school team the first year and only got the starting job when the other quarterback left after. He had to split playing time with another quarterback, even in college, which is super rare and not a good look. Because of this, he was drafted 199th overall in the 6th round 25 years ago yesterday. There were 6 other quarterbacks drafted ahead of him. And there's even a documentary called The Journey of the Quarterback No One Wanted, which I watched some of to write this chapter. And that really is how Tom Brady, the greatest of all time, was viewed at one point. But he used this as motivation. He was a backup, but he kept preparing. So when the starting quarterback, Drew Bledsoe, got injured in 2001, Brady was ready to go. And because he'd been working so hard behind the scenes, he was ready for his opportunity, and he was learning quicker than anyone else because he was studying and working harder. He had incredible comebacks in difficult games like Super Bowl 51. The team was down 28-3 against the Falcons in the 3rd quarter with barely any time left in the 3rd quarter. I think 2 or 3 minutes left. And everyone thought they were down and out. And Tom Brady proved the lesson we can all learn from: no matter how the odds are stacked against you, if you try hard enough, the unthinkable can happen. And he proved that time and time again in his career. Despite all these challenges, he still became the greatest of all time. I wanted to read one of my favorite Tom Brady quotes, which is in the book as well. Success and achievement come from overcoming adversity. To be successful at anything, the truth is you don't have to be special. You just have to be what most people aren't. consistent, determined, and willing to work for it. So the athlete who, obviously I followed Kobe Bryant my whole life, but Michael Jordan, seeing Space Jam, that started it all for me. So the final chapter of the book is on Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Michael Jordan has 6 NBA championships, 6 finals MVPs, have the highest scoring average ever, and is considered by most as the greatest basketball player of all time. He did not make, but the best thing about Michael's legacy, he didn't make his high school varsity team on his first tryout. Think about that. The person who went to be the greatest basketball player of all time did not make their high school team first try round. But Michael worked even harder, and he made the team the next year. He went home, he cried to his mom that night, and he let his feelings out, and then he got right back to work and accomplished his goal. As a rookie, Michael's teammates went to parties too much, left him feeling a little bit isolated, but Michael made the best of it. He worked hard on his game instead, being the first at practice and the last to leave. Michael even won 3 championships before retiring after the tragedy of his father's death. And he was very close with his dad. Michael had to work hard. He played baseball for a bit to grieve, and then he had to work hard to come back when he knew that basketball was his true calling, and he got in shape to do it, came back, and won 3 more championships. So this quote is from Michael Jordan, who never lost in the finals, and who many view as the greatest of all time, and it's one of my favorite quotes ever. I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. Okay, so now it is time to read some of the book. Very excited to do that. It's crazy to think about like typing it out on my computer and all these different places and planes and the cottage, and to be here now, able to read it for you guys. And yeah, I chose the LeBron chapter because that was the chapter that really helped all of this happen. And between getting me into USC, between watching, him and Kobe my whole life, and then submitting it as the writing sample. So really excited to read that. I'm going to read the introduction of the book, which is very short, the LeBron James chapter, and the closing of the book, and then do some thank yous before we close things off and get to the signings, which I'm very excited about. And thank you so much again, everyone, for being here. I'm going to take a quick sip of water. Hello, sports fans. My name is Skyler Trepel, and just like you, I'm a lifelong sports fan. I can still remember the day my mom and Nana took me to see the movie Space Jam. Michael Jordan, Bugs Bunny, and the Looney Tunes were down at halftime. So they drank Michael's secret stuff to start playing better. Later, Michael told them it was just water, and they had the special stuff inside them to be better all along. At that moment, sports and inspiration became forever tied together for me. For this book, I chose to write about a variety of different athletes from different sports and backgrounds, from LeBron James and Jackie Robinson to Megan Rapinoe and Simone Biles, and several athletes you may not have heard of until now. All the athletes you'll read about are incredibly inspiring and have overcome many challenges. They share the values of not giving up, learning from hard times, always trying to be better, and believing in their dreams. Speaking of dreams, writing this book is a dream come true for me. I hope you enjoy reading these stories as much as I enjoyed writing them. I also hope that when you finish reading, you feel inspired and motivated to chase your dreams too. So I'll show very quickly. Each chapter is like a trading card, kind of. It has a picture here. I'll thank him again later, but Lorenzo Fornaciari, the Italian illustrator they contracted, did a phenomenal job. So this is LeBron James High School Sports Illustrated cover. And then you have kind of the trading card bio here, which I'll read. So LeBron James, birthday, December 30th, 1984. Hometown, Akron, Ohio. Teams, Cleveland Cavaliers, Miami Heat, Los Angeles Lakers, and Team USA. Breakout moment. In 2002, he appeared on the cover of Sports Illustrated when he was still in high school. Top achievements. He was a 3-time Olympic gold medalist, a 4-time NBA champion, a 4-time NBA MVP, a 21-time NBA All-Star, and the NBA's all-time leading scorer now. Did you know the LeBron James Family Foundation helps kids in Akron, Ohio through LeBron's I Promise School, which he built. Now I'll read the chapter. Four-time NBA champion LeBron James is one of the greatest basketball players ever, but it wasn't always that way. He faced many challenges while growing up in Akron, Ohio, and even along the way in his career. LeBron was raised by his single mother, Gloria. Gloria worked hard, but they didn't have much money. They had trouble getting the things they needed and finding somewhere to live. Friends and family provided a place for them to live for a while, but they had to move often. Since they were always moving, LeBron wasn't able to attend school. This was hard for him. To feel better, he played video games and watched his favorite sports teams, the Los Angeles Lakers and the Dallas Cowboys. When LeBron was 9 years old, his youth football coach, Frank Walker, invited him to move in, seeing his challenging situation. Frank helped LeBron get to school every day and encouraged him to start playing basketball. As LeBron began to find joy in basketball, he found more joy in life too. This joy helped him to start working harder in school. Young LeBron was shy, but basketball helped him come out of his shell and become a leader. He practiced every day until he became one of the best players in the country. LeBron was the first player to have his high school games shown on TV. He had both size and speed, allowing him to blow past defenders and finish with a powerful dunk or creative layup. LeBron could also shoot pull-up jump shots, grab rebounds, and make great passes, which helped his teammates succeed too. LeBron became so good at basketball that every team in the NBA wanted to draft him. In 2003, LeBron was picked first in the NBA draft by his hometown team, the Cleveland Cavaliers. His dream had come true, but there were still challenges ahead. In his first season, LeBron went on to win the NBA's Rookie of the Year award and became an NBA All-Star in his second season. He led his team to the NBA Finals in 2007, when he was only 22 years old. Sadly, his team lost and wouldn't reach the finals again for a few years. LeBron knew he needed more help to achieve his goals. In 2010, he made the hard decision to leave the Cavaliers and join the Miami Heat, forming a superstar trio with three-time NBA champion Dwayne Wade and multiple-time All-Star Chris Bosh. They were known as the Big Three. People expected a lot of him. The pressure got to LeBron, and his team lost the 2011 NBA Finals. After missing shots that he would usually make, he seemed to lose confidence. He started passing the ball too much when his team needed him to score. His teammate Dwayne Wade told him to remember his talent, ignore the critics, and have fun doing what he loves. LeBron decided that even if people put pressure on him, he didn't have to put the pressure on himself. I'll read that again because I think it's really, really important for people to remember. LeBron decided that even if people put pressure on him, he didn't have to put pressure on himself. He went back to playing with joy. He made sure his teammates were having fun too. He made funny faces, did silly voices, told jokes, and got his teammates to do crazy dances together. These actions made the team stronger and happier. They played their best and looked up to LeBron as a leader. LeBron didn't focus only on his superstar teammates. He looked out for everyone on the team. His new teammate, Tony Douglas, had played only 3 minutes in his first 2 weeks before starting for Dwayne, who was injured. LeBron noticed that Tony needed a boost. He told Tony to just be himself. LeBron continued making Tony feel important, cheering him on even after he missed shots. In an important game against the Toronto Raptors, Tony went on to hit a big shot off an assist from LeBron because of the confidence that he instilled in his teammates who weren't superstars. LeBron's leadership helped the Miami Heat win back-to-back championships in 2012 and 2013, but LeBron still wanted to achieve his dream of bringing a championship home to Cleveland. In 2014, LeBron returned to the Cavaliers. 2 years later, he got the chance to bring his team their first NBA championship. But first, they had to beat one of the best teams in history, Steph Curry's Golden State Warriors. Could they do it? The Cavaliers were down 3-1, but LeBron and his team kept at it and made it to Game 7. The final game was tied with less than 2 minutes to go. The Warriors' Andre Iguodala was about to score an easy layup, but LeBron ran down the court, leaped in the air, and pinned the ball against the backboard, blocking it from going in and saving the game, as illustrated right there. LeBron led his team to the win, and the Cavaliers became the first team to win the NBA Finals after being down 3-1. Fans and players remember LeBron's defensive move, illustrated here, as one of the greatest plays in NBA history, calling it the block. In 2018, LeBron joined the Los Angeles Lakers. Within 2 years, he helped lead them to their first championship in a decade. He also broke the NBA's all-time scoring record with the Lakers in 2023. In 2024, LeBron competed with Team USA in the Summer Olympics. He broke more records and won his third gold medal with Team USA. He was only 19 years old when he won a bronze medal in his first Olympics back in 2004. 20 years later, he took home the gold and was named the FIBA Men's Olympics MVP. At age 39, LeBron began the 2024 to 2025 season as the oldest player in the NBA and tied the record for the longest NBA career at 22 seasons, going on 23 next year. Best of all, one of his biggest dreams came true. He got to play on the same team as his oldest son, Bronny James, who was drafted to the Lakers in 2024. Off the court, LeBron owns several businesses, including 2 companies that create shows and movies. He also supports social justice causes that help others get equal rights. He created the I Promise School in Akron, Ohio, to help kids who are growing up in challenging circumstances like he did. LeBron tells kids to be themselves. He said, "We don't need more LeBrons. We need more role models, scientists, police officers, teachers, doctors, professors, physicists, and even computer engineers. I want every kid to know there's absolutely no limit to what you can be. See the possible, dream big, then work your tail off and chase it." Now I will read a section very quickly called the post-game notes, which is sort of the conclusion of the book after reading the 12 chapters. That wraps up our 12 inspiring sports hero stories. So let's look back at what we learned. The stories of athletes like LeBron James, Serena Williams, and Jessica Long taught us that if you work hard and believe in yourself, you can overcome any odds to succeed. Jackie Robinson, Allison Felix, and Megan Rapinoe taught us how important it is to use our voice and to stick up for everyone's rights. Simone Biles and Chloe Kim taught us about taking care of our mental health and that it's always okay to ask for help and support from others. Patrick Mahomes and Lionel Messi taught us to always be proud of who we are and find ways to use our differences to our advantage. Stories of all-time greats like Tom Brady and Michael Jordan taught us about not letting the opinions of others affect us, and that we can learn and do better from mistakes and disappointments to accomplish great things. All these athletes believed in themselves, even when others didn't believe in them. They went after their dreams and never gave up. Now that you've read these stories, think about ways that they inspire you. Ask yourself, what are my greatest strengths and what are things I would like to improve? How can I care for my mental health and be kinder to myself? What are my values and how do they help me decide what is right? What's one small step I can take towards my goals and dreams today? What is something about myself that I'm proud of? These lessons and your answers aren't just for sports. You can use them in any area of your life as you grow from challenge to champion. Thank you. Thank you guys so much. I do have just a couple of thank yous with the few minutes I want to give out here, and it's going to be a bit less time than I thought, so sorry if I do not get to everyone here. I'll start just by sort of going through the acknowledgements in my book. So just as this book shows, all dreams can come true with help from others. I want to thank all those who helped make my dream of writing this book come true. Thank you so much to my mom, Brenly, and my dad, Brent, for being the best parents ever in supporting my dreams and sports fandom over the years. Mom, with your career as a journalist, interviewing everyone from Wayne Gretzky to Mother Teresa, and then becoming a human rights lawyer and reading at the library and encouraging that. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And Dad, how successful of a career you built and everything you've done, and all the sports talks and games that we've watched over the years. And it really means a lot to me. Thank you. I love you guys, and I'm really honored that we get to talk every day. Thank you very much to the best sister ever, Sierra, for sharing in the excitement of this book from the moment I began. We both have an ability to get very, very excited about things, so that was really, really nice to share with this. Thank you. Also, thank you to my Nana, Ruth, my grandma, who lived with me growing up, for buying me my Michael Jordan video, being obsessed with the Blue Jays, teaching me to always stay in touch with my inner child, and helping me get interested in sports and reading. I really wouldn't be here without her today. We used to watch all these kids shows together that I loved, and she was in her 70s laughing at them more than I did. And I aspired to have that same childlike joy. She read multiple books a week. We had a library in our house growing up because of her. And she's just a huge part of everything I do, and honored to know she's here in spirit. Thank you to my Grams, Marilyn, who gets to be here today for this, and for inviting her friends, and for always supporting me and being able to talk with me throughout the process of this book. And to my Zadie, Sid, for having me at their cottage and showing me Dan Marino and the Miami Dolphins. And my Zadie, he always really encouraged me to read, and he loved hearing me read out loud. The last time that I saw him, he actually, before he passed away, he actually asked me to read Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire aloud to him. And he called me the wizard and the reader. And again, since he's just here in spirit today, not physically, I really have to give him a huge shout out for that. Thank you so much to my aunts, uncles, and cousins for their support and encouragement. Thank you so much to my Auntie Cindy for supporting me and being here. And I was with her when I got the news about the book right after I left. And to my Uncle Al for the great sports chat, my cousin Shayna for great chats about TV too. Thank you very much to my Uncle Lewis and his husband WT for being here to support too. One of the first things I did after was go for a walk with my Uncle Lewis to talk about the book. So I really, really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you very much too to the Ellerbys for being here. My Auntie Izzy, who always encouraged me to keep writing, and Shauna and Lori and Brenda and Jessica. I appreciate the fun dinners that we've gotten to have together over the years, and the books you guys have gifted me. And Jonathan writing his own book was very inspiring, and also seeing Lori do a book reading from a book launch here was super cool. Also my cousin Warren Rubenstein, who I believe is watching, wrote many golf books, including with Tiger Woods. So I got to give him, and all my cousins in Toronto, thank you very much. I have a very short period of time here, so I can't say everyone. Thank you to my pet, and also to all my teachers very quickly. Mr. Henderson, my grade 12 law teacher, for being here. Mr. Grenell, my grade 9 English teacher, for being here. And my kindergarten teacher, Adelina, for being here, where I really, really learned to read in your class. Thank you so, so much. And also to the Kilosh family for being here. Antosh, one of my lifelong best friends, his parents, Barb and Zibby, who had us over all the time, and for bringing his kids, Marek and Mila, and with their his wonderful wife, Christine, too, and Kasha, his sister, for being here, for letting me play with the kids, too, and come hang out with them. Getting to hang out with you guys was huge for me, keeping in touch with my own inner child while writing this book. So thank you guys for being here, too. And to the SJR grade 5s, and very quickly to my friend Ivan, who's here, who I've also known my whole life, had many of these sports chats about, and to Michael Sataida and Linda Sataida, close family friends, who also were with me with the whole Michael Jordan Space Jam stuff. Thank you guys for being here. We'll not be able to say everyone, but thank you. I'll just read the book quickly, like the end of it, in the acknowledgements. Thank you to my pets over the years, Creamy, Princess, Clover, Charlie, Regent, Teal, Teddy, Blissa, and Simba, for being great sports watching partners. And thank you so much to everyone that I mentioned from Penguin Random House for making this happen, and to my cousins, Sari and Eric and Barbara, and her boyfriend Will and Nathan, for being here too. Thank you guys. I wanted to mention the whole family. Really appreciate your support always. And of course to McNally Robinson and John Taze, who's been just a dream to work with. He's been phenomenal. The promotion they gave me, everything. So I'll say a couple of words here as I wrap this up. And that is that. And then thank you to Sharon and David in Toronto, and Natalie, Kevin, and Nathan in California. And so to wrap this up, if you Google my name, Skyler Trepel, you can find all my articles on sports, movies, music, and TV with People Magazine and Entertainment Weekly. Please feel free to purchase a copy of my book, written for all ages, and I'm happy to sign it. For 1 minute here, just wanted to go over some things. So what have we, some things to take away from this. Before we finish, I just wanted to rehash some key themes of what I've spoken about from my own journey and others' journeys. Follow your dreams and passions. I'm living proof that you can make your dreams come true. Always keep in touch or revisit your inner child to guide you in any stage of life and bring the best parts of that time into the present. You can turn your greatest challenges into your greatest successes. Believe in yourself, be persistent, be authentic, trust the process, and you can make all your dreams come true. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Skyler, and that's an appropriately inspirational way to end the event as well. Thank you so much for your notes of gratitude as well. It's been incredible working with you, and we're so pleased to be able to showcase this book here tonight. In just a moment, we will move along to the signing portion of the evening. So we will pull this chair out and ask Skyler to take place. There will be a moment of chaos while everybody gets in line for just 1 second. It'll settle itself out nicely. So please, if the line seems long, feel free to just relax and catch up with folks until it does become viable to get into line. We have plenty more copies of the book as well. So please don't feel like you have to rush off and pay for it before you get into the signing line. Just please do remember to pay for the book before you leave the store. We'd really appreciate it. Again, huge thanks to Penguin Random House of Canada, to Inspiring Sports Books for Young People, to Zeitgeist Books, to all of you for being here to celebrate with us. And please give an enormous round of applause once again to Sky.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Thanks. Hey guys, how are you? Thank you so much for coming. Last one for you, right?
We have to go in line.
Thanks so much.